Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, gotta bring it forward. Okay. Um, Hi, I'm Cindy Rivera. I'm the chair of the school counseling department. I'm going to start a little bit early where we usually wait for everybody to find parking and come in because we are afraid of a fire drill going off. It's at like 10:40, 10:45. I'm hoping we're done, or at least at questions by then. But just in case, if that happens, and if we're in the middle of questions and there's a lot of questions, we can just come back after the fire drill. But that we should be done with our program at that point. So I just wanted to give you a little warning on that. So welcome, everyone. We're glad to see you here today. Let's just start with some introductions. We go down the list here. We have Julie Rossini, Sarah Drexel, Lori Keene, Lindsay Ryle, Erica Shadler, and Rose Marash. Ann Vernon is out sick today, unfortunately, but is also a member of our team. We also have Sue Carroll in the back, who is our College and Career Center coordinator, and Christy Carrero, our assistant principal for the class. Hi, Christy. Good morning. So thank you all for coming. So today we're here to talk about plans for your children as they move into the last half of their high school career. So let's get ready. I'm sure you're seeing that they're changing rapidly. They're becoming more independent, self-sufficient, annoying, and pain in the neck, but they're doing well. We want that to happen for them to become self-sufficient and independent. That's the right place for them to be. Even though they may not be ready right now for starting to look at colleges, the reason we're having this program is to let you know that we have been working with them to get them towards that readiness. And junior year comes and it really gets started fast and furious. So we want, we're going to outline the steps we've taken today with your kids through high school, and then talk to you about how to partner with us, you as parents. We want you to hear the different terms that are going to be coming at you in the next year. We're going to have plenty of more meetings, and you'll hear about those. But we just want you to be as ready as you can be as we try to convince your kids to get ready. So I always forget this, so here we go. We're here to help. So attending college is the focus for today, but there are other pathways. If your child's not academically driven at this point, or the cost of a four-year degree is prohibitive, it may make sense to think about other options. We do have students who consider any number of the other options here, starting at a two-year college to ultimately get to a four-year degree. Some choose to work for a little bit because they're not ready to really think about college. Some take that gap year, take a year off and travel the world or do something different. Taking a PG year, post-grad year of another year of high school, or thinking about technical or vocational schools. Or the military. All of those are viable options, and more of our kids are starting to consider that. And so we're very much ready to talk about those things as well. But that's a good thing to talk personally with the counselors about that process. Whatever they ultimately do, the process next year is pretty much the same. We still, most of them have not made any decision about which direction they're going. So we walk them through the research phase of all of these things and decide later what the best option is for them. Who's been through this before? Oh, good. So you know better than most that this is going to be different. Everyone is different. Every child is different. I always say no one can blame me for my children because they're on the opposite ends. They're so different. So they'll all have different timelines, different pathways. Your students are probably all over the place in this process too, in spite of everything we've tried to do this year, and that's okay. Some have been coming in and talking to us since freshman year. They have their spreadsheets already and talking about things. Others just really, they're not there. They're just like, please don't talk to me about that. And some, it really like middle of senior year where they'd never thought they'd go to college suddenly turn around and say, I think I can do college, and we start then. So I don't want you to worry. The timeline's different for everybody, and it'll work out. This is just, we want to say that as part of our job we visit many colleges during the year. We go on tours, we travel together. We have it's really part of what we do for us to be experienced on understanding the college life and colleges. So we've had a wide range of experiences here at this point. And then also with the changing landscape, over the last few years with the pandemic, things have changed dramatically. They certainly changed from when you last did college. So there have been a lot of shifts, particularly in the last few years. I think many of you know that many schools stopped requiring the SAT or the ACT as part of admissions. That is starting to shift back, but it hasn't gone there yet. Most schools are still score optional. So we will review that. We've seen that some of our most popular schools that students apply to have become more competitive because the applications have risen nationally. There's been so many more kids applying. With more applications to look at and fewer students submitting the standardized scores, admissions reps report looking more at how a student will fit on their campus, looking beyond grades and scores to see how much a student appears to know about a school, how interested they really are to attend. Whether you can visit or not, it's important for your child to fully research every school that's on their list and know why they are applying to each of those schools. As much as things change, you can also be assured some things never change. Students will change their minds often, and on this journey, they may find that what they thought was their dream school doesn't make the list in the end. What their best friend likes may decide it's not for them. They may find a new interest or a new course they love in high school, and that will change their whole trajectory. Just go with it. It'll be okay. So enjoy the next couple of years as you watch your child grow and change. It may feel a little bit like a roller coaster at times, but it also can be really wonderful to see your children start to identify where they want to go, what they want to do next. Broaden your own perspective on what is considered a good college and help your child to redefine that, what's a good college for me. Be realistic about the schools you're looking at using the tools you'll hear about today available to you and your students. We're asking that your children be more thoughtful as well and reflect on who they are and what it means for their future plans. It'll be important when they're writing their essays and articulating who they are in their applications. And just remember, we are your partners in all of this. And can be a great resource for you and your child. We work together as a team and consult with each other often. And we also work with colleges very closely. Sue Carroll in the College and Career Center, as I mentioned, also has a wealth of knowledge, and she will be a resource for you as well. So please follow us on Facebook and X, and read all the wonderful articles that she often posts that really help in understanding admissions these days or understanding adolescence these days, which I guess we'll never understand. But there's a lot of very useful presentations. Also on our website, we record all our presentations, so if you need to go back and look at old presentations, it's all there. So this morning, you'll hear from Julie and first from Sarah. So she'll talk you through about the tools what we've done so far this year and last. Julie will outline what junior year will look like and how to plan and organize for college visits. And then Lori will wrap it up with what you can do as a parent to support your child in this amazing process. Hopefully we're saving questions for the end as much as we can. And again, I said, for those of you who came in late, there is a fire drill at 10:40. So if we're in the middle of a lot of questions and we need to come back, we'll just come back after the fire drill, but you will have to exit and go out and come back. If it's the end, it's the end. We're fine. So take care. Okay, Julie. Oh, Sarah, I'm sorry.
Good morning. It is great to see everyone. I am going to share a brief overview of what we have been working on with students through our programs and what has been accomplished so far so that you get an idea of where we've been before you learn about where we are headed. School counselors have been building relationships with your children by having both individual meetings and facilitating programs in classroom settings. As freshmen, we met with them early on to learn more about who they are and what goals they have for high school. This was a collaborative meeting where students completed an academic roadmap. Through this process, students gained an understanding of graduation requirements and a general awareness of their potential course of study over 4 years. While this plan is tentative, it was a great exercise for your student to set academic goals and learn more about our program of studies and course offerings. Another aspect of our comprehensive program is helping students familiarize themselves with Naviance, which is a college and career readiness online program that helps students align their strengths and interests to post-secondary goals. This is a useful resource introduced to students beginning freshman year. During their first year with us, all students complete a learning styles assessment. The Achieve Works learning and productivity tool shows students what their sensory, environmental, and mindset preferences are, and how those relate to learning and productivity. The full report includes recommendations for each preference area to help your student study better. This could include ways to adjust their study environment, change their thinking and approach to how they study, or come up with new ways to tap into their preferences to improve outcomes. Please know that the full report is available in Naviance as we head into final exams. And your child's counselor can reset this if students would like to retake the assessment at any point throughout high school. Our program with sophomores began with an exploration of career clusters and pathways so that students can start to build connections between their time at New Canaan High School and their post-secondary opportunities. This year, we had sophomores take the Career Interest Profiler. The profiler was designed to align a person's interests to potential careers and is a research-based assessment using Holland's personality theory. The Holland code is a 3-letter code that is made up of an individual's 3 dominant personality types out of 6 possible choices. The 6 types Dr. Holland identified are collectively referred to as RIASEC, and the initials stand for the first letter of each of the following personality traits: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. This code might just be the key to finding a compatible career. The general idea is that if students are self-aware of their strengths and interests, they may find a career and college major that brings them fulfillment. Part of our discussion with sophomores was using the results from the Career Interest Profiler to help during the course selection process. It can also be used to guide students towards extracurricular activities and part-time work experience. So this is a look at our Naviance platform. If we go back, this is the home page. It has been revamped. Where we spent a lot of times with our times with students so far or to date would be the self-discovery section and the careers tab. This year, students received I have props. This year, students received a copy of the Department of Labor's Connecticut Career Pass. This is a guide to career strategies, job advice, education, training, wages, how much they would make. This is a favorite amongst the students, and job descriptions. And then please know that Naviance also highlights the 16 national career clusters as part of their careers resource database. We're assuming that this is on many coffee tables at home. Hoping it made it that far. All right. All right, the career exploration lesson was a nice segue into the sophomore counseling building block lesson. So our building block program this year provided a really nice opportunity for counselors to work with our own students by grade level. And with sophomores, we were able to meet with our students in 2 different building block sessions. The first lesson that we held was the no-name college search, where the objective was for students to gain a comprehensive understanding of factors to consider when exploring college options, looking beyond reputation, rankings, and focusing on aspects such as distance from home, size, and academic culture. Okay, we're gonna give it a go actually. So right now, I'm going to ask that for a brief moment, let's pretend that you are sophomores in high school, ready to start exploring life after New Canaan High School. And you'll have two options in two different scenarios. And if you would like, you can raise your hand and let us know what you're thinking in this moment. So, will it be car snacks or airport lounge? Are you comfortable being a flight away, or do you prefer to be within driving distance? How many for car snacks? Okay. All right. Airport lounge? All right. And then also we're letting students know that, some campuses have an Amtrak station right on campus, so that could be a part of the decision making. All right, we'll do one more. Skyscrapers or green spaces. Are you more of a city slicker who thrives on the hustle and bustle of urban life, or do you prefer the serene tranquility of a campus nestled in nature? Think skyscrapers versus green spaces, honking horns versus chirping birds. Green spaces. Okay. All right. Skyscrapers. Okay. All right. So the next part of the activity, and there was a different series, we were also getting to think about, are they, interested in like a liberal arts type setting versus more of like a tech hub? There was a lot of other categories. And they physically, in some settings, were able to sort of walk across the room if they were thinking skyscrapers versus green spaces. We also allowed for students to, stand in the middle. And then what it led to is this vision board exercise, where students were asked to really consider characteristics of settings. And again, sort of taking off this idea of the name of a school, the brand of the school. And just to give you an idea, you can get a sense for all of us and our styles. We have Mrs. Rivera. This is one that I did. And all of the students engaged in this activity. And we, as a department, had a great time doing it as well. Mrs. Carroll. And then Mrs. Carrero even got in on the fun. Woohoo! Okay. So this, again, was to really start thinking about more what their fit would be outside of kind of what I think becomes more about the reputation or the name that they've heard from peers. Our second counseling building block was the advanced college search. Okay. So let's take a look now at Naviance and how students can use this resource. And this is what they learned through that advanced college search. So when they worked with us on this second part of the activity, we had them accessing now the colleges tab on Naviance. So when they go to colleges, they went to find your fit, and then Naviance has what's called the advanced college search, which guides students by helping them to identify characteristics of a college they are interested in. So please know that we are striving to emphasize fit. Taking the time to self-reflect now will make the process smoother. Students need to know who they are as learners to know what environment will work best for them. Students completed an advanced college search to begin to identify colleges of interest. Part of what's great about Naviance is that it serves as a tool to track research and exploration. For example, students are able to select or there's an actual heart icon where they can add a school to colleges of interest, and then that school gets saved to something called Colleges I'm Thinking About. So they have access to that, we have access to that. And then this is a look at the college overview page. So part of the activity was they did the college search. Then they were asked to identify at least one school to add to colleges I'm thinking about. So your sophomores should have at least one school on colleges that they're thinking about. That school may or may not be a school that ultimately they apply to, but right now it's just the initial research phase. Eventually, the school counselors will have some input and some feedback as well, and we get to add to that section. So this is the overview page, and this is where you can see that each college has a virtual tour. There's college overlaps, which is one of my favorite features. So once students identify one school, they're able to then click on the college overlaps, and students who apply to that school also apply to, and it will list out 10 different schools. And that's over a span of 15 years, which we won't get into the data side of that, but it is nice to sort of see some trends. Now, sometimes with New Canaan students, you sort of start to see similar schools, but it can be a useful tool, so still check it out in the early phases. And then this is where you'll also see admission data and then general college information. So as you can see at the top, this school was liked, and it is saved for this student. So that's how you can sort of know and navigate that. We felt that the students really enjoyed using this program and starting to see all the opportunities that are available to them. I'm now going to turn it over to Mrs. Rossini, who will be discussing what is coming up junior year.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. So I will be giving an overview of what comes next. Excuse me. So during 11th grade, we focus on the college and post-secondary process with students and their parents. Starting this summer, please consider some college tours. Always feel free to ask your child's counselor for some suggestions of schools to visit as you make your summer plans. Please keep in mind that your child has been taught how to use Naviance, as Sarah was showing you, to look at the range of grades and test scores a particular college would accept, and then using this data to strategize where to visit can be very helpful for you. You can sit down together and look at Naviance with your child and start making some plans. And you want to just keep in mind throughout this initial process, these words likely, match, and reach schools are going to be coming up a lot in the next couple of years. So use the data to figure out whether it's a likely admit, a match school for your student's profile, or a reach school. And you want to have a good mix of all three. Also this summer, you'll be receiving a copy of your child's transcript in the mail, which will have their weighted academic GPA. In the fall, juniors will take the PSAT. All 11th graders are encouraged to take this test, and colleges won't ever see these scores. It is great practice and a great tool to understand which areas could be practiced prior to the SAT. Preparation for the PSAT is not recommended, it's not necessary, it's really just a baseline and it's a data point. Financial aid night takes place in the fall of junior year as well. The event is geared towards all New Canaan parents and families as everyone prepares for the expenses of college. Understanding how financial aid works and then tips to spend money more wisely through this process are highlighted. In the winter, December, we meet with all juniors during a building block period to give an overview of the college application process. We build on the research and exploration that Sarah was talking about of sophomore year and explain how to put it all together, put it into practice as students really start to build their college lists and get ready to take those steps to apply. In January, we have junior parent night, and we go over a very similar presentation, but it's geared towards all of you, and you'll be in a room with just your child's counselor in a classroom, so you can start that process of a more individualized approach, getting to know each other, asking more questions. And then after that is the official junior appointments. So winter into spring is when you're going to be hearing about these junior appointments. These meetings are with you, your child's counselor, and the student to create a really individualized plan for the application process. You'll be getting an invitation in the mail, probably a Google invitation as well, but keep an eye out for the mail. And meetings usually last an hour and go over the student's transcript, discuss a testing plan for SATs, ACTs, You work more on building that list of schools to apply to, and you map out a timeline for what's going to come next. And as Cindy said, everyone's at a very different part in the process, so we tailor it to your individual family. We also do a building block lesson in the spring to get the common application started with juniors. Students have an opportunity to create an account and ask their counselor questions on how to fill this out. This extra support is very helpful since students can see the application and become more comfortable and familiarized with it. Lastly, for this slide, we invite our students for an end-of-year junior chat, which is what we're all doing right now, to follow up after their junior appointments and after the application lesson. Students can share some tours that they've been on. It's really fun to hear about those at this point in the year, and how any of their thoughts or plans have evolved since that junior meeting. We can reinforce next steps with them and offer reminders. Did you ask those teachers about writing you a letter of recommendation in the fall? How did that go? Did you get that internship this summer? Okay, what are the next steps for that? So just making their summer plans. And we can add more colleges at that point. So it's a great check-in before the summer. We also tell them to get some relaxation in over the summer after junior year, because the fall of senior year is going to be very busy and the height of application stress, but we're here to support you all through that. Okay, briefly on testing. Testing is still part of the process. Students take the SAT and/or ACT. They will have taken a PSAT already, and we can help link you to resources for a practice ACT if you want to go that route. And different students prefer each test, and trying both can be helpful, but it's not necessary. We offer an SAT school day junior year for all juniors, but additional testing is set up by students and parents. More planning is discussed during the junior appointment for an individualized plan. And as we know, since many schools remain test optional, we can advise students on whether to submit their scores or not. College visits. So you can incorporate college visits into any upcoming trips you might be taking, make it fun, light, and you can also start right in this area by comparing a school like Fairfield University to a school like UConn and hear about how your child feels about both settings. Make it fun, start discussions. Some are going to like to be in a city. Some are going to want a quiet campus. Look at the majors offered. Do they want sports games, lots of school spirit? Weather and location are other factors to discuss. And we explore likes and dislikes with students during the sophomore year, but tours will really bring it all to life for them and get them invested in the process. And I'm going to hand it over to Lori now.
Okay, so how are you all doing? That is certainly a lot of information. So I'm here to give you some tips on how you can best support your students. And as parents of upcoming students researching colleges and before you know it, applying to colleges senior year, we advise you to encourage your child's independence. It's important for them to eventually be in the driver's seat. As hard as it may feel, you need to take the steps to get into the back seat and be there for support and help as needed. And when you're on those fabulous college tours, don't be the one up front asking all the questions. You'll be getting a lot of eye rolls from your son or daughter. And it certainly might be helpful for you to do some introspection and reflect on your own worries about your child growing up and leaving home before you're able to support this independence in them. And as you all know, every new chapter for our children are full of both excitement and a little sadness as they're growing up so fast. And you all are nearing the grown and flown chapter, and I have small kids, and I've said numerous times already, can we just freeze time? Often parents want to help too much throughout this post-secondary planning because their kids are so busy already, and to take on the college process seems like it's so much to add to their already busy plate. But this is their process, and yes, they will all get it done. Another personal story, my sister has twin seniors, and I was worried throughout pretty much the whole process with my nephew, not my niece, who was focused, talked, we chatted, and I certainly know the struggles. And yes, he has a place to call home next year, as does my niece, and things always have a way of working out. And I've seen so many times when a well-meaning parent tries to do some of the work for their child, and then the to-do list and roles and responsibilities is mixed between the parent and child. This could lead to confusion and errors, especially in the senior year during the college application phase. Instead, begin the process by letting your child take the lead and start off with doing some college searches that you've heard about. Let them know that you are there to help with specific tasks, such as setting up a spreadsheet, a shared electronic to-do list, and of course you all can make if the airline and hotel reservations. When you trust your child to manage this process and when they take responsibility for it, they will be then able to own their success at the end. All of the information they need is available right here in the school counseling office. We have a comprehensive program to address the needs step by step, and together we have many, many years in experience with knowledge around the post-secondary planning process. So just some helpful tips for down the line. Designate one day and time per week to have the college process check in with your child, especially as they're a senior and nearing that time, such as noon on Sundays. This helps avoid the tendency to have the college process being the ongoing discussion and exclusion of everything else. Kids kind of like appointments, they're used to that. Prepare your child for disappointment. As you heard, there will certainly be some up and downs. And before the junior year, perhaps when planning a college visit, it's important to talk to your children about family priorities, whether this is distance from home, cost and financial considerations. Please start talking about that. If you set up these expectations early, they become the parameters, and it's understood for both your child and for yourself. And when going on visits, enjoy this one-on-one time with your son and daughter and tie in some fun things to do in the area, whatever you all enjoy as a family, be it finding the best Cajun restaurant or going for a lovely hike, so you really make some strong memories with your students. And I recently saw a post on social media. We only get 12 times taps if you're lucky to play Santa. 12 spring breaks, 13, I'm gonna cry because of my littles. 13 first days of school, 20 tooth fairies, 1 to 2 proms, and 1 to 2 chances to see them in a cap and gown. Savor each moment. And now we are before the fire drill, so Cindy's gonna come up and help with questions.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, so we gave you a lot of information. There certainly will be a lot more coming as we will be giving you information. I think one thing I just want to add to all of that, we do send out a guidance update every month, and it becomes more important for you to read those things as to what's up and coming, particularly for juniors next year, because there's a lot that we can't just pick up the phone and tell each of you that remember this. So please be aware of that. Questions? Yep, in the back.
Here. What about the SAT? Can they take it here, or do they have to sign up for a specific location elsewhere?
The state test is an SAT, and that's given has been in March most years, and so we assume by the end of March next year as well, though that date hasn't been set. But that is one that they can sit for, and they don't have to register for. We automatically set that up for them. Anything else will be on you to contact College Board or ACT to set those up.
Parents have access to Naviance?
The question was, do parents have access to Naviance? At this point, we don't give access because we want you to partner with your child about this. It's an ongoing conversation whether we will or won't next year, but it's something that we find parents love way too much at the exclusion of their children. So it is part of our crazy thoughts that we're hoping you'll sit down with your child to really pull them in to this process. So we've kept it that way, and it's proven successful. So, questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
Amount of time for the test prep? Is it 8 weeks, 12 weeks? How much is too much? How far in advance of the test shoots and starts?
Does anyone want to take that? I don't need to answer all these myself.
Sure. I kind of always like to use the same rule of thumb or the same advice that I got when I was in grad school, preparing for our licensure test. I like for my students to start prepping in the semester that they will be testing. That's just kind of my general rule of thumb. So for that March SAT, I find that it makes the most sense to really start that serious prep right around the start of the second semester. I think that gives students the opportunity to really be focused on their academics when they should be, right? But then also to have enough time to transition to that prep and make it meaningful so that it's not happening over, the entire course of the year. And what I find is almost maybe even more important than when you start is actually when you stop. So I'm always recommending for families, if you're, testing in March, you should be prepping up until March. If you're going to be, retesting in June, then you want to be doing some sort of prep. Doesn't need to be formal. We, instruct our students to get on Khan Academy. It's a great free resource for them. It links right up to their College Board account, and we'll discuss all of this with them in great detail next year. But you really just want to be purposeful with the prep and not leave gaps where you're not preparing and then, testing after.
And in thinking about this, you want to think about perhaps their sports schedule. So you shouldn't be taking a test in December when they're on the football team. They're never going to have time to prep. So think about their sports schedule or their after school, the drama kids, if they're in the middle of their play, think about that as well. So in the back?
Building relationships with that aren't the typical ones that New Canaan kids apply, like non-Big Ten, for example.
So we include all the big schools that kids, and then branch out from there. So if we're going out to see the Chicago schools, it's not just seeing Northwestern and New Chicago. We're branching out to see Illinois or, going out to Notre Dame or something like that. Go ahead.
To give an example, Erica and I traveled this past spring and we went down to Nashville. We took quite a road trip basically across the entire state. We actually flew into Memphis, saw University of Memphis, Rhodes, drove up to Nashville, saw Vanderbilt and Belmont, then drove down towards Chattanooga and saw Sewanee. So
We were brave.
We put the miles on the minivan, but we definitely are, just as Cindy said, really expanding our searches to colleges beyond those ones that, most students are hearing throughout the hallways.
And the good news also is because of our level of experience and New Canaan's reputation, we've been often asked to sit on advisory boards at different colleges. And I know Lori sat on Providence this year where the schools ask our opinion about what kids are saying. And I went to one, I've been to a number of them, but one at Ohio Wesleyan where they were looking at their dorms and what do we think? And we said, they're trash, rebuild them. And they did. They built beautiful dorms. And so things that they're looking to spend their money on, they like to include school counselors. And they've often invited us. So that's been a great relationship builder that we feel we can, talk with them whenever we need to about a student. So about 200 reps, close to 200 reps come here every year for the seniors. And they often are the people who are the first people to read the applications of the children. So they come and speak with our kids and present their schools. That's a good opportunity for counselors also to have conversations, especially if we've seen some wonky admissions the year before. We like to talk with them about what they saw and what else is going on. We're going to get out of here before the fire drill.
How is there a way, if you have a child who's kind of concerned about like where they're going and whether it's like liberal versus conservative thought and whether they're gonna kind of find a place where they may, like say they're conservative and they want to, besides looking south, like how do they determine that you know, it might be a place with the same values that they have.
You want to go ahead?
So I would recommend the Fisk guide. It goes into campus culture. We have it in our offices, we have it in the College and Career Center, but I've found that to be very helpful in outlining sort of the values on a campus.
And then as kids are traveling and visiting schools, I always recommend pick up the school newspaper. See what they're talking about. What are they complaining about? What are the issues on campus? That often gives you an insight that the person giving you the tour is not going to tell you about. We keep abreast also of all of those things. We get college journals that we're keeping on top of those trends as well. So we do keep an eye on all those things. In the back? Sorry.
This guide is FISK?
E.
FISKE. KE, and it's a guide that tells you about the culture of different universities.
Yes.
It's a very thick book, and it goes into it tells you the food, it tells you, conservative
kids
or
are like,
liberal, what
yeah.
the kids are like, what the kids are saying. You can, I've loaned it out to parents, and then they send it back in to me.
It's easy to find. It's
It
on
is,
Amazon.
yeah.
Right here.
International versus national, and do you, the second half of that is, do you also talk to students about international schools?
Yes, we do. We hoping to have, every year we've had the UK schools come here and talk about applying to UK schools. We're looking at when that'll happen for next year, or if that'll happen. They usually are touring. Colleges do have a statistic on international students, how many are in their pool. They love international students, so it's a big piece for them.
And also, Sin, I would like to add, also, University of St. Andrews always comes for a visit every year. And also, one of our counselors, just a year or two, actually did a really robust college tour in the UK. So,
We get invited to everything. It's great.
We went to a national conference for college counselors and school counselors in Baltimore, Maryland, and we fell in love with some Canadian schools. So we're also starting to talk to students about those options too.
So much less money. Yes.
Yes, and I will say I came on board and joined the group last year, and something that I feel like we do really well is if we don't personally feel like we have enough experience with something, we're constantly reaching out to each other, sending emails. Have you had a student apply to the Netherlands? I'm right now researching. I have a junior interested in Australia, which, by the way, you'll get that email later today, everybody. So we use each other for those types of situations.
First time, how does the college prep, are they prepared to?
They're more on top of it than anyone I've ever seen in terms of understanding it. It is interesting. The kids took it as the state test and the PSAT, the juniors this year. They liked it, I think, by and large. Go ahead, Erica.
So many of my students reported that they felt like the test was so much better because it felt shorter for them. They're very used to that digital format, so I think for them it just felt more comfortable. And I thought it was very funny because I had a few students who said, oh, the math was so much harder, but then came back and were like, oh, my math scores were great. So I think they really liked, in my, just anecdotal experience with
I think
the kids,
because
they
it's so
liked it a
short.
lot.
It's
Exactly.
short, which is so much nicer than
Yeah.
ACT is still 4 hours.
And I
so.
think it just took some of that pressure and anxiety off because it felt like something they've done before. It's on the computer. It just, you get those Scantron sheets and you're bubbling things in. That's anxiety inducing. So I think they really liked the new format.
Yeah. So, and the prep companies have certainly been on board with that and studying that and working with kids around that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Is UConn going to require SATs? So far, we have not heard that. Yeah, they're asked if UConn will expect scores. It's not yet at this point. Some of the state public schools are, like in Florida and Georgia, are starting to go back to that as a state policy, but we haven't seen that yet up here.
One change in UConn, though, for the next year's admission cycle, they have now introduced an early decision option. That's something that's new about UConn.
That's good. Okay. All right, great. We have, oh. Yeah, in Naviance, that all the data and statistics in Naviance is based on New Canaan students and where they have applied, where they've been denied, where they've been accepted. So you can get that information on Naviance. So it's there.
The last page of our school profile also does list colleges attended by NCHS grads, so you can find that on the New Canaan High School website.
Yeah, the school profile is something given to every college. That's what they use to evaluate schools. So that'll be something another term you'll become familiar with, because every school will ask for a school profile. We update it each year with your particular class's information, and so they know at that point that'll be updated for you when your children become seniors. So, in a very short time. It's 3 to 4 years of data. I think that's what we have, right? Scattergrams are more than that? No, it's not 7, because it's not, I think it's 3 to 5, depending on, if we only have a very few applicants to that school, we won't publish the data, because then it's privacy policy. But if it's, 10, if it's more than 5 people have applied to that school, you'll see data on that school. So.
Just a question on the essay writing, like, is there a course offered to the juniors, like a prep course in the summer or during the year to help them with the college essay writing piece?
Go ahead. I'll say. They're asking about the essay, the college essay. Is there any prep done at school or courses offered?
Yeah, the past couple of years, we've partnered with the College Essay Guy. It's an organization that assists students around the country with their essays. We had a 2-part series. It was an evening Zoom, and all rising seniors everybody has access to that now. It's the films is located on our Writing Center website. In addition, we also hosted one in the fall around the short essays, supplementary essays. In addition, some of our English teachers are talking to students about what the college essay is all about. In junior year, and we meet with the juniors, second semester, and when we have our junior appointment check-ins, we're always talking about the essay as well and just tips for success. In senior year, when they're here in school, they have access to all of us to help with their essays, the English teachers, and the Writing Center as well.
And then if all else fails, I think there is still a 3-day course given in the summer right after school by Darren Bruce from the middle school, I think, right, Saks? So yes, lots of opportunities. You won't fail at all on that one. Okay? Great, thanks everyone. Of course, your counselors are available. If you have more questions, please reach out to your counselor. Thank you so much. Get out before the fire drill.